Thank you so much. This is an honor to be with you again today. It's extraordinary where we have become so close with many of you. And I really do appreciate your time in listening to me and giving me the support and understanding that I was the student that you guys really focused on to really become a success. And right now, you see the CEO, somebody who's strong, who's built 3 technology companies, who's a front-end developer, who can just build software like no one can, seriously. I am powerful and I feel that power, but I was never always like that. So my life's work is to really help students. And my founder story is based on my student journey. And that student journey begins when I'm 13. And I know that you've heard some of this, and some of you guys have heard the whole thing, but I'm just gonna go and tap into that. Sitting in class, 3rd period, English, 2 officers come to the classroom, ask me to go. The first thing I think about is what happened? What happened? Is everybody okay? As I'm walking down the halls, they're not looking at me, they're not talking to me. I'm 13. These guys are big and powerful. And I knew at that moment, it wasn't something that happened, it's something that is happening, right? I go to the front doors, I see that cop car out waiting for me. They put me in there, they drive me out of the parking lot and in an opposite direction of my home. And I knew something was gonna happen that was big, life-changing. They drive out of town 5 hours away to another small town in Utah. They drop me off at a double-wide trailer, garbage everywhere. That night, I spent it in a small trailer room with 3 other girls that are older than me, tougher and rougher. And I learned that when the lights go off, that's when the true abuse started. I was in that home for 2 years, surviving, until my parents decide that they want me emancipated. They no longer want to have me as a legal responsibility. I didn't know what emancipation was. I did learn when they dropped me off in the middle of nowhere in Salt Lake City, Utah, with a backpack and a garbage bag of my belongings at age 15. 2 months, I'm on the street. I didn't eat for days. Do you know what it's like to be hungry for days? It's tough. It changes everything. It changes your mind. It changes everything. That insecurity is real. I was very lucky. After 2 months, a grandfather found me. I only met him once, and he offered me his home. Thank God. If I was out there any longer, I don't know. It's still so raw. I can remember sleeping on the concrete, sorry. So I find myself in Mandeville, Covington, Louisiana, where I discovered diversity for the first time. And I felt so welcomed. It was a breath of fresh air to be accepted for who you are. It was remarkable. I thrived. I did. I learned how to code for the first time. I learned I was dyslexic, which really answered a lot of things. And, I had great experiences. I played basketball. I didn't know I could really dribble and do a layup like I could. And so I developed really good friends. But of course, my family started to call again, and all I really wanted to do is be a part of that family that I felt abandoned and lost to. So I moved back, and I wonder what would happen if I didn't, but I wouldn't be here today standing in front of you. When I moved back, the same thing happened. They asked me to leave after a couple months, but I was older and stronger, so I decided I'm gonna do it. I cleaned the toilets of a movie theater. God, that was awful, but I had free popcorn. That's okay. I didn't go hungry, but a lot of salt. Waitressed, did anything, was maid, anything to make ends meet without compromising myself. I had a really good friend, Andrew Huffaker. He was coding HTML, and we started to code together. And I really learned and experienced what it would be like to do something different, something more professional. Andrew was almost done with his associate's degree at Salt Lake Community College. And that's when he said, why don't you go to Salt Lake Community College and get your degree? He didn't know I didn't have a high school diploma. I did not have that. I was embarrassed about that, and I didn't tell my friends. It took a lot of courage to open those doors to Salt Lake Community College and find the advising office. But when I did, I met Cindy Clark. Cindy Clark changed my life. And I know that there's been many Cindy Clarks that have changed many Tracy Gorhams out there. And so with my life work, I want to make sure and ensure that every student has the opportunity to have their Cindy Clark moment. Cindy did amazing things. She saw somebody that really needed the support. I didn't have that support network. So she didn't just say, here, fill this out. She said, let's do it together. Let's walk down the hall to financial aid. I will sit with you and have that conversation, because I've never talked about my finances. I didn't know how to do this. 19, never supported. So what Cindy Clark did for me, and I was young, I didn't know how to articulate thanks. I was just trying to survive, eat, have a bed to go to. And I know that Cindy did that for many people, many students, and I'm internally grateful. I'm here today because Cindy Clark, she was a spark of my professionalism and my personal growth, and I really appreciate her. Now, I want to talk about what a Cindy Clark moment looks like, possibly on your campus. And definitely there are some people here that this is a campus about you. So take, for instance, Southwestern College. Over the pandemic, there was a lot of students who had to go back to Mexico, and they could not travel across the border. They had dreams of becoming professional, stronger, just like I did, and they were cut off. But with ConexED, they were able to connect in high-touch, meaningful ways on any device. So this student borrowed her cousin's phone and signed documents and met in our technology without downloading or installing anything. Instant connection, instant support, instant feeling that she was a part of the campus from one click. They increased, before in 2019, they had 350 students in Mexico. They increased that to over 600 using our technology. And that's really special to me because those students need that support, that Cindy Clark moment the most. So Fletcher Tech. So she's not here, Christine is not here, Dr. Strickland, but they are #1 in enrollment, #1. A student who was a first year in high school, he had limited time and he was able to use his phone just to meet with financial aid, counseling, get it all done, and he's enrolled. And now he just loves being a part of Fletcher Tech, and he keeps on checking in. Another Cindy Clark moment is somebody who was suspended in financial aid. She had 1 day to get it together and get back in there. She missed all the emails that were sent to her. So she clicked a button and got face-to-face and did everything that she needed to do and was enrolled the very next day using our technology. These are just so special moments. These are really high-touch human connections. These students wouldn't be able to be supported without another human. So a TRIO student and Chaffey College increased 20% of categorical programs. Now categorical programs have the most funding for colleges. And if they're not an alum, you don't get that funding at all. So imagine increasing that 20%. But again, a TRIO student is exactly who Cindy Clark would help. I know a TRIO student, I was a Pell Grant recipient. She would be exactly that person to help them. But Chaffey College has many Cindy Clarks helping. Another one, Las Positas. This is a really interesting one. 6-year break, signing documents in our technology with a toddler on her knee. How special is that? It's all about the human connection and completing what they need to do to get enrolled and progressed and graduated, right? And you can't do that without the human connection. So here's my really nerdy slide, because I am a nerd with a good wardrobe. And this slide is supposed to represent my 25 years in communications and software development, understanding how we communicate. I developed software for General Dynamics, AT&T, and T-Mobile. I did really interesting work. I made an 8-hour process into a 30-minute process, and that's what I want to do for your staff. Frustration-free. Make them do what they really want to do, and that's connect with their students. So 25% of it, a daily, getting that back to meet with students. Now, what does that look like? I'm a numbers person. So 25% is 10 hours a week, 40 hours a month for Cindy Clark to meet with more students, 160 more hours every semester, 240 meetings each semester Cindy Clark can have with our technology. 12,000 meetings a semester with our technology when you have 50 staff using it. And you can use it in every nook and cranny. It's scalable, it's remarkable. I did build the UI, so I think it's very user-friendly, but it is. We can onboard in 3 days. In 3 days, Cindy can start meeting. Yeah, and you know that, Rachel, because that's exactly what we did with you. So 800% increase of class enrollment in day 1. I know. So I had a challenge from Sherry, Dr. Utash. She's like, what does that mean? And I called my people to understand that number. So day 1 in November, when they did that enrollment, compared to day 1 in April. So engagement, participation, the participation increased 800%. But that still makes and shows an enrollment increase. And we're gonna get those numbers. We're gonna ask for that. So what I wanna do is ensure that every student will receive that personal onboarding that I received in an easy to use way. I mean, we have those micro campuses. Under $9,000, you can put a micro campus on a high school to do transfer advising. You can put it in a YMCA. You could put it in every area of their neighborhood. So if they have transportation disadvantages, technology disadvantages, we can teleport them to that staff member, to Cindy Clark. Cindy Clark can now work from home if she wants. So if she feels like taking a few days and working from home, we could still teleport that student to her. We're thinking about everything. But there's Cindy Clark. She gets me right here. Everybody, thank you. And imagine where I would be if I didn't meet Cindy Clark. I want to ask you to give your students the opportunity to meet their Cindy Clark. Please. How many opportunities did students miss in the pandemic? Probably a lot. We missed out on them, supporting them. Let's not do that. We don't have to do that. We can scale. I want to thank you for everything that you've done for your students. I want to thank every Cindy Clark out there supporting their students. And I want to thank you for listening to me tonight. Thank you.